Thanks so very much, Tim, and good morning to everyone here, and happy Carers Week. It's a real great privilege to be here to join you for this very important Carers WA conference. I'm not sure if Shaz is still in the room. Can I speak safely? She's not going to come and get me. Look, it's always a privilege to be at any event where Sharon does the acknowledgement to country, and I think you would all agree with me. What she brings is a good dose of prickliness and challenging us, but also, importantly, the message is one of togetherness and walking side by side in this country. It's always great. And I was going to get Sarah from my office just to get a bit more of that stuff that she gave out to us, because I could use some of it to take back to the Parliament and sedate some of the opposition for later on in question time. But I missed my opportunity. I also want to acknowledge the traditional owners on the land on which we meet, the Whadjuk people of the Noongar Nation, and pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging. I also want to acknowledge all the First Nations carers who join us in the room and those who may be tuning in right around the state. I'm proud that the Cook Labor Government, through the Department of Communities and Lotteries West, could sponsor today's important conference. I would like to acknowledge Ms Linda Wayman, Board Chair from Carers WA, Mr Richard Newman, CEO of Carers WA, Ms Heather Simmons, our international guest, lovely to have you here in Perth, Ms Esme Bowen, who's the Chair of the Carers Advisory Council, my Director General, Mike Rowe, all the various service providers here who do such an extraordinary job in supporting, who are really the most important people that we are recognising, acknowledging and celebrating this week, and that of course are the carers right around this state and right around Australia as part of the National Carers Week. I've been in the portfolio now, where are you, Mike? Nearly 2 years. You count the days that I've been harassing you. And I have to acknowledge that prior to taking on a responsibility for carers, I had a sort of, I think, a pretty traditional view of what carers were about. I thought carers are the kinds of people that we all turn into at some stage in our life, potentially looking after elderly parents. Or acknowledge somewhere in the deep in my mind that one time in my future, as I age, I will need a carer to look after me. But of course, it's been a real privilege to really open my eyes and appreciate that carers are much more than that traditional description that I just gave you. It's quite extraordinary the number of young carers in our community who do incredible work, often silently and unknown, caring for loved ones and taking on responsibilities that they shouldn't have to in their years, and they do it quietly and often invisibly. And of course we have carers who are looking after grandchildren. We have carers who are looking after loved ones with disabilities. So carers look differently and it can touch someone's lives no matter where they're up to, and it's important to acknowledge that. Of course, also, we need to really continuously highlight that 70% of carers in Australia are actually women. It largely falls on women in our communities to carry that load. I was recently in Albany with Carers WA and also the Carers Advisory Council to talk to a whole bunch of carers in regional WA, and of course in regional WA the challenges that carers face are even more difficult in terms of accessing services and respite. And so whilst there are challenges within the metropolitan area, in our vast state the challenges become even more acute depending on where you live. Tim gave some statistics before, but I want to sort of reaffirm some of those and extend some of those out, and I'm sure many of you would know and have heard of these things. When you think about it, in Western Australia alone, there are over 320,000 carers. And I've often said, and I'll say it again, I don't believe that's a true number. I think there are many, many people out there who are carers who don't identify themselves as being carers. And so I think it's really, truly underestimated when we talk about the statistics. Nationally, carers contribute an astounding 2.2 billion hours of unpaid care, which translates to about 42 million hours every week. And of course, it's estimated that that contribution that carers make right around the country is upwards of $77 billion a year. It's quite extraordinary if all the carers in Australia downed tools and the significant challenges that that would create for governments right around Australia if it was not for the contributions of carers. So it's really important that we not only acknowledge and thank carers, but also importantly raise the awareness of the contributions that carers make. I know that for many people, it's not a question of downing tools and letting governments or other people do the lifting. It's not a choice. It's what carers have to do in terms of supporting their loved ones, and it's also what carers want to do. But it's important that we acknowledge the incredible generosity and do whatever we can to continue to support carers in their journey. A journey which is very uplifting, but it's also challenging and it's hard work. I just want to briefly mention, when we were in Albany, we acknowledged and celebrated that it was 20 years, 1994, that under the Gallop Labor government, we introduced and passed the Carers Recognition Act of 2004. It's dated a bit now, but it's a significant moment in time because we were the first jurisdiction to actually have such legislation, and now, of course, right around Australia, everyone has followed us. And I want to particularly acknowledge Sheila McHale, who's a Labor legend, who, as Minister, had courage of bringing that important recognition and creating legal status for carers. It was a great privilege to meet her recently. I can't remember what day of the week it is. Esme, was it on Monday? I think it was. Where was Esme? Tuesday morning, where the Governor, His Excellency, was very generous in hosting a morning tea to recognise carers, and I know the carers really appreciated and valued that gesture by His Excellency, and I again want to thank him. So as I said, we were the first jurisdiction in the country to recognise the rights of carers in law, and the Act continues to play an important part in recognising the role of carers in the community. Importantly, it also includes the Carers Charter, which states states the way in which carers must be treated, and that is with respect, and included in the decisions relating to the service delivery for the people that they care for. And Esme and the Carers Council of WA do an incredible job in ensuring that that legislation is actually enacted through the various agency in terms of the compliance and oversight, and I value their contribution and the feedback they give me. This conference, of course, is a really important way for you all to connect, and I've seen the agenda, and I think I'd rather stay here than go back to Parliament. So, and Tim, I might also take your offer up of kicking the footy around a little bit, but certainly these events are so critically important, not only to provide you with important information on your caring journey, but it's also just really important to socially connect with people who are in a similar situation to you. It's also about raising awareness so that we can build a more responsive and inclusive workplace, businesses and communities where carers are, so that they're recognised and supported in workplaces, in education, so that they find it easier to ask for help and find support, and importantly, so that carers can remain connected and involved in the community. Because as Tim said before, caring can be all-encompassing, all-consuming, and we also not only have to look after ourselves mentally and spiritually, but we also need to make sure that we continue our lives, whether it's our career paths, and also because we need to all be earning a living, and those things don't stop just because you have responsibilities in terms of carers. I want to shout out the Department of Communities who are hosting one of the breakout sessions today on our last 12 months as a carer-friendly employer, and I'm particularly proud of that because Communities is the first state government agency that's been accredited as a carer-friendly employer, and I strongly encourage other employer groups with us today or whenever I meet them that they seriously consider what they can do in their workplace better in terms of supporting carers, and of course there is a formal process through which they can do that and be supported in their journey as an organisation. And in fact, I was really pleased that the Chamber of Commerce were at the morning tea at Government House, which really tells me that the awareness around carers and the role they play is really building, and so that more and more workplaces are also contemplating how they can support carers, which is so critically important. I'd like to sort of just finish by sort of relating back to Dee, who left a really lasting impression on me when I was in Albany recently, and I'll share with you sort of a little bit of my own circumstance, not because I'm a politician and I want sympathy from you. That's not the intent at all. It's not to indicate that woe is me and I've got it tougher than you, but I think I just want to actually express to you how day by day, through my own personal experience, I'm understanding more deeply the challenges and rewards of caring. My mother has recently, just in the last 3 months, been diagnosed with dementia, and my family's lives have been turned upside down. She lives in Yanchep and now needs constant supervision to make sure she takes her medication. And you all would know better than me that trying to navigate what services and supports are available is tricky, and it also takes time. And my mother's needs are right now. She can't wait. And so my sister and I have really bonded over it, but we've now basically managed a daily roster whereby one of us is always with her, and that requires me being at Yanchep and adding 2 days to my life. And I say this not because I'm seeking sympathy, but to acknowledge that that's what happens when you are thrust into that situation. You don't know when it's going to happen, and certainly you don't know how long that caring role is going to take. Lots of people say to me, but you can get people to go and do that now. Why are you doing that, Sabine? But the point is, I think that's critical to carers, there is no choice. I want to be the one to be doing it. And whilst Dee in Albany, put it really, really well and described all the challenges of her lived experience in caring for her loved one, she finished with the point, which I think is absolutely true. Despite the challenges, it's the biggest honour and privilege of her life, and certainly of my life, to care for my mother. And so I'm on the beginning of the journey, but I'm also acknowledging, whilst that is my focus, we also need to be able to take care of ourselves so that we can actually keep doing that thing that gives us the greatest joy and privilege. So to all the carers in the room, to all the people that wrap around the carers in the room, I say thank you on behalf of your loved ones and all those in the community that benefit from your generous hearts. I wish you well for this conference today and beyond it. And whilst National Carers Week ends on October the 19th, which happens to be my mum's 80th birthday, I know and we know that caring goes on each and every day beyond National Carers Week. And finally, the fact that you've come here today, taken some time away, which is hard. You're probably feeling guilty. Some of you are probably checking your phones like I have. It is really important that you take that time out for yourselves. And it always blows my mind that the people that are facing the biggest challenges in life those people that are doing the caring also take the time out to become advocates for other carers but beyond themselves. And I know that's what many of you are doing. You're here not only to seek support for yourselves, but you're actually seeking support for others. So how you have the time to be advocates outside of being carers, I really, really salute you. Thank you so much.